Welcome, friends, to Tanks Up, the podcast all about video games and beer. I'm one of your hosts, Ben. It's episode 421, and I'm here with a returning Aadil.
Hey!
And Lucy.
You missed 420. It was very exciting.
We were super high the entire time, just smoking up constantly. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I was on my way to a weekend of different substance abuses.
Somewhere where it is actually legal.
And yet I did none of those.
Yeah, fair. Sometimes when you're at like an event, like a beer festival or something like that, the opportunity is probably quite limited.
Yeah, and I was there for a very
busy.
Not a lot of time outside of the beer fest.
Yeah, fair. Let's crack into some beers, and then maybe you can give us some thoughts about the beer festival. So, Lucy, what are you drinking this week?
Yeah, I'm back on the alcohol-free.
Okay.
Yeah, I had 2 beers yesterday, so I have a day off.
Yeah.
For the weekend. It's from Mash Gang. It is called Stoop, and it is an extra dry, low alcohol Japanese lager. As all of us have really discussed on the podcast, feels like lagers work a little bit better with the alcohol free, because see a lot of alcohol free pales and IPAs, and you're kind of missing that the body and the sweetness, and always feels like there's like an artificial sweetness on some of these alcohol free beers. So trying a lager this week.
Nice, good. Aadil, what have you got this week?
I have 2 beers.
Ooh.
Both bought in the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
From a lovely beer / alcohol store that Joel, one of the people I went with, knows in Haarlem, because we went to, so basically after the beer fest, which was Friday, Saturday, we took the train to Haarlem, so just past Amsterdam, and went to this shop, and then went to Jopen, the brewery, and spent a couple hours there.
Nice.
And then went to the ferry to leave. So it was kind of like an afternoon of sitting at a very nice brewery.
Nice, good.
But I really, for the lols, I should have the second, but it's also the 4.5 versus the 8.5, and it's by Anderson. And it's a slow gin sour, so gin inspired sour ale with slow and gin botanicals, and it's called Sloepy Seconds.
Nice.
Hence why I should have it second, but the other one's strong. And if I only get one today, I think it should be the not strong one. Where is Anderson from again? They were one of the Tallinn, of course, yeah. So Estonian, they were one of the breweries at the beer fest, and they had really good beer. Really enjoyed it. So I thought I would pick up something from them. I think I had. Oh, you piece of crap! Their program sucks. They've like. They chopped up the scans of the program such that you have to go on the website, look at the lineup. They say, here are 3 beers, and then discover full list. And then it's literally just the scan of that much of the pages of the program.
Right.
And it's like, could you have just not given me the program in one PDF? But the thing about Anderson's is they had a catch-up chili goza, which was like a 4.1% goza with chili, cucumber, and I think it was tomato. It was wild, but it tasted really, really good. The cucumber you could taste, but it didn't taste bad. The chili was just the right amount of spice. It was definitely one of those beers that I think Lucy would describe as doesn't taste a lot like beer. The tartness of the goza just worked really well with those flavors, but it's super refreshing and really good. Just like a quality beverage.
Nice.
It was the only beer that because I only had a couple tastes from Joel's, and I wanted to have more, but I ran out of time, and I was already on the big heavy ones. But that's the only beer that I like had earmarked to. Oh, I want a full one of these because I've only had a sip of that I didn't get to.
Nice. Okay.
Anyway,
Good.
so Anderson's I would recommend, and I'm gonna pour this 4.5% slow gin sour while you guys tell me about your beers.
Perfect. I am drinking a beer from Braybrooke. This is their Harvest Festbier 2024. Braybrooke do lagers, a lot of different styles of lagers. This, they say on the back, is actually a Marzen style, which is a beer I think you had a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? Aadil.
Yeah.
You had a Marzen. They don't put a huge amount on here. It is 5.6% in very, very tiny writing right at the bottom of the bottle. It's only 330ml. It's a little bottle, but it's That's nice. Cute. It's a little bottle. I quite like that. They talk about themselves a little bit on their label. They say about the beer itself: we are located on a working farm here at Braybrooke. Every year we celebrate the harvest with a festival, and we brewed this fest beer especially for the occasion, based on the classic Marzen served at Oktoberfest for nearly a century. Our version is a celebration of malt, juicy, rich, with notes of freshly baked bread and marzipan. We add just enough hops to balance out the malt and keep it from being too sweet, and slowly matured it over 45 days. There we go. Cool. So we shall see what this is like. I like that tiny little kind of image. It's only potentially just the brewery, maybe, which just looks like a fancy barn. Because everyone likes a fancy barn. But Lucy, we'll roll back around.
Yeah,
to...
sorry, there's a daddy long that's going absolutely crazy here, so give me a second.
It's always those daddy long legs. I don't know what to do with them. How have daddy long legs evolved to just not know what their body is?
Yeah, I've got it in here. Let me just trap it and free it later.
Put it in your pot of daddy long legs, so you're just capturing them all to release them at the end of the day.
For my witch's cauldron, yeah. There, you can chill in there. Yeah, I missed some flavor text on the back of the beer. It says we have a big love for Japanese macro lagers, designed to be refreshing and easy to drink. Light body, balanced sweetness, dryness, and bitterness. It takes a lot more finesse than we are used to. Properly conditioned at low temperatures for ultimate crispness. Oh, it's got the hops as well. Dyrian Wolf, that's a new one to me.
Yeah.
Galaxy and Nelson Sauvin. And it's got oak chips in it.
It was
chips. Very lively. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe to get more of a malty taste to it, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, it poured very lively. It's only just really settled. Poured with the head was like down to here, so. But it looks like it looks like a beer.
Okay.
It looks like a lager. Decent amount of carbonation, which obviously contributed to it spilling a little bit when I opened the can. But yeah, light straw coloured. Hazy, just maybe a little. Can see a little through the glass.
It looks very light. I don't know, it's just the lighting in the camera, but it looks really, really pale.
Yeah, definitely. Just like very much straw coloured. It looks the part. It's got that slightly weird sweet smell that some of the Mash Gang beers have, and some of the Mash Gang beers I like. The one with the skeleton on it. I had one of those cans from like a year ago.
Yeah.
It actually tasted okay. So, like, sometimes it does the job. But, yeah, not getting much else other than that kind of like weird sweetness that I can't really place. But yeah, not really getting anything else on it. It's not a displeasant kind of aroma.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, but it's just because I know sometimes what that sweetness turns into in terms of the taste, so I'm a bit
Yeah.
hesitant.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. That's weird. Hmm. Hmm.
Weird in a good way.
It tastes like they're like IPAs, like they're pales, and then
Okay.
it just goes into like this. What is that aftertaste? Is it the oak chips? What is that? It's it's not it's not unpleasant, but
Okay.
it's very jarring compared to the initial taste,
Mm.
which, as I said, tastes like some of their pale ales, kind of like odd metallic sweetness, and then it like feels like it just changes gears abruptly, like halfway through,
Mm. Mm.
to be like, oh, actually, we need a lager now, and it's like maybe trying to evoke some of that the maltiness
Mhm.
that that more malt forward lagers would give you, but it's it's odd. Hmm. Hmm. It,
Come back to it, maybe. Let it
yeah,
sit for a bit.
it's honestly a taste that I cannot describe.
Okay.
I'm lost for words on what it actually is, but
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
I'll mull it over
Yeah. Fair.
because it's odd.
Cool. Aadil, have you had a chance to stick your nose in or have a taste at all?
Yeah, I missed a bit on the tin that said may contain natural sediment, and I don't
Okay.
know if you can see
Oh wow,
that.
yes,
That is a lot
it is. Yeah,
for a can.
because it was a little can as well, wasn't it? 330 ml.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a 330. So I'm gonna try and remember to finish this gingerly. But I'm actually glad we looped around because that means I didn't have to plug it back.
Sure.
It's got a lovely tart nose, a bit. I want to say like red fruit berry like. Guessing that's like the berries from the botanicals.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely get the slow in it. Oh, interesting. Sorry, it finishes on the first taste at least. It finishes a bit malty.
Okay.
With the sweetness kind of disappearing. I'm just not expecting that because it doesn't appear in the rest of the taste, so it kind of feels like it's a different drink that's finishing.
Mm.
So really satisfying. Yeah, slow, tart, light berries. Yeah, a bit drying in the way it bitterly peaks on the finish, but it leaves you with a wet mouthfeel.
Okay.
And then the thing that lingers most. Okay, so now I'm getting a bit more of that like junipery bitterness, which is good because it's covering that bit of maltiness that kind of doesn't fit.
Mm.
Yeah, this feels a lot better on the second sip.
Good.
Really refreshing. Exactly what I would have wanted on the weekend, which was also gorgeous and sunny.
Nice.
And then Monday at noon when we got off the train from Newcastle after the bus from the ferry, after the ferry, it was pouring rain and like my bag got like it's a waterproof backpack, right? But it got soaked through such that the book that was sitting on top, the edges of the pages are now complete like got soaked.
Mm.
It was like and like yeah, stuff was wet.
And, that's Britain
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, it's one of these days I have to remember while I'm doing it that I could take the bus home and not just walk the 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I just don't remember buses exist. I might have a condition.
Well, I don't like buses, so I'd also
Yeah, I mean,
walk.
yeah. The
Well, no,
timing
that's a
and
lie. I'd
lateness
get an
and
Uber.
stuff is
get
way
an
worse
Uber.
here than it was in the south as well. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
but yeah,
Probably
I don't
one
have much
bus an
else to say
hour
about.
up there.
Sorry, I keep talking over you, Lucy.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna say that it's probably one bus an hour up in the north. Anywhere up north.
Yep, but
Doesn't matter where you
also it they're not often on time.
Mm.
Well, it's one bus.
Mm.
That's circling the entire north.
Oh yeah, when you say
It's
one
just
bus
one.
an hour, you mean that one bus. I mean, to be fair, they
Yeah.
drive pretty fast. If it's the one bus.
Nice.
Hail to the bus driver.
Good. We'll come back to, what was it? It's sloppy seconds?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sloepy, I guess.
Slow.
Slow.
Yes. The I always mistake Andersons with Brewdog just because of the logo.
Oh, because they've got the
yeah, same.
arc moon dog thing.
Yes.
Yeah, arch dog. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why, because it's not really the same, but
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
As soon as you said it, I was like, wait, and then I looked at the can. I'm like, I get it.
Something completely different. Braybrooke. It's
Boy, look at the color on that.
it's a very dark, very amber beer in color, very similar to the beer I had last week, which was from Donzoko. Again, a very golden kind of amber sort of lager. Lovely nose, similar kind of beer. I don't know if that was if the Donzoko was a Marzen, but that was a Fest beer as well. But yeah, very malty on the nose, a little bit of sweetness. More sort of breadiness, I think, on the nose. That sort of sweet kind of white bread. But that's about it on the nose. Fucking hell, that's good. Ooh. That's very, very refreshing. Like
Nice.
it's crisp as well.
Mm-hmm.
It is a bit deeper. So it has a touch of something. It isn't just those malts, basically. They're kind of the main sort of flavour in there. Again, a bit bready, a little bit kind of. I say it's refreshing and it's a bit crisp, but actually there's a bit of a chewy kind of note to it as well. Not big, but it sort of sets in after that initial flavour. So it's a bit of a dryness that then kind of brings a slight chewiness to it as well. I know it said something about marzipan on the back, but I'm not quite getting say marzipan, but it's more. It is a very bready kind of beer.
Yeah, I wouldn't want marzipan on my life.
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't either. I'm not a fan of
Yeah.
marzipan.
I like it fine, but just maybe not.
Maybe not in your.
Yeah.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is very bready. It has that bit of bitterness towards the end, which builds slightly. So actually, it's got almost a bit more of an ashy kind of bitterness to it, which is sat in the background, and then when the beer dries out and that kind of chewy note comes in, that chewy feel comes in, that bitterness just like sweeps through and kind of overrides the malty sort of flavour, which is quite a nice finish to it, where it's actually quite light as an initial sort of, as soon as it sort of hits your palate, it's very light, it's crisp, it's refreshing, and it has this kind of sweep that just drags it down to this nice kind of bitterness, and it hits those bready malty notes kind of through to sort of almost like, oh, it's a lovely light beer, and then it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper, basically, and finishes as something more heavy. You know, it's more reminiscent on the finish of a sort of a slightly bitter IPA. You know, 6.5% bitter IPA kind of thing, with the few kind of flavours, that maltiness, a little bit of sweetness kind of going on in there as well. But it's very, very nice.
Good.
That was my first venture into Braybrooke. It's very, very good.
I'm pretty sure I've had at least one of their beers before.
Hmm.
Can we quickly circle back to
Yeah,
the
absolutely, of
mash
course.
gang? Just because I, swirled the can a bit and poured out some of the yeast. Also, looks like quite big, like salt flakes. But it's made a world of difference.
Okay, good.
It very much tastes like some of the mash gang's IPAs, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that I like, where that sweetness isn't that like kind of metallic sweet finish isn't as prominent. This has got it's light. The flavor's quite subtle. It's got maybe like a bit of like straw herbal kind of taste to it. Don't know what the oat chips are doing at all. But it's pleasant. It's especially when you're not expecting like big tropical flavors in a lager. This is I think this works well. Yeah, it's quite yeah, I'd say slightly subtle, slightly clean. It's nice. It's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
More so than the initial taste, and I think that's swirling the can around made the world of difference. It felt very disjointed and jarring, but this feels more cohesive and like it doesn't have like many different notes to it. It's more like just one note, but it's a good one note.
Good.
As opposed to being completely disheveled mess that I thought it was. So yeah.
Does it tell you anywhere on there to swish it round and sort of liven it?
No, but I have that with some beers, like alcohol-free beers. This is the first alcohol-free beer where I've found that. But like just normal beers, where it's like, oh, this tastes odd. Let me swirl it around a bit, and it tastes okay again. Don't know why that is. I don't know why there could be such a massive difference. But I've come across that several times on the podcast, where a beer is just transformed once you put the yeast in the bottom of the can in it. So I don't know. Interesting.
Good. Okay. We'll enjoy these. Let's talk a little bit about the beer festival. Aadil, let's get your thoughts on it. What was it called? What beer festival was it?
It is Borefts. So it was the 20-year anniversary of it. So it's Braybrooke Molen's beer festival. So it's in their brewery.
You're taking me next year.
I was gonna say, yeah. It was great. So it's 2 days. You could just go one. It's kind of like Bristol's in the like, it's the same lineup pretty much. There's special releases on certain times on Friday and different ones on Saturday. It's not because it's like the whole day. You get a certain amount of tokens.
Yeah.
To spend, and so the higher ABV ones might be 1.5. Everything else is about 1. We didn't drink that heavily, and because I use the same tokens year on year, Sarah and Joel have been going for 14 years.
Wow.
So this is the first year they've never gone home with tokens because they end up using up all the ones from last year and the ones from this year and buying a few more. And this time I think there might have been 2 halves or something, but like they brought a few. I think just with the extra body, because I always go with their friend Martin, who was there, but he had some house trouble, and so wasn't there for as long.
Right.
And there was a me.
You bled.
We all kind of just pooled our tokens and then went. I actually drank. I think, especially in the beginning of Saturday, I just really took my time. I was just enjoying things.
Yeah,
I think I've been doing enough beer festivals. Yeah, especially what was nice is there was these big tents, and it was like such a nice 22, 21 degrees both days with no wind and sunny. And it was just perfect weather. So when we were in the tents, it was really easy and like just was really nice to hang out with 3 people I don't know as well as you guys, but who know beer, and have vastly different tastes.
Mm.
Like Sarah hates IPAs, but likes sort of sours and big heavy porters and stouts, like dark,
Yeah.
Quite a
heavy, like
contrast
high
there,
ABV
yeah.
dark beers.
Mm.
And Martin like works in beer. He does like beer tours and stuff. And he was on a big like Pilsner and Hells and like light crisp not lager beers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really interesting to see because basically he got almost one of every of them, and then I, me, I'm like big boozy,
Mm-hmm.
and I was there was a lot of what is the word I'm looking for? There was a lot of like grapey beers, which I've not really had before,
Okay.
which were interesting, and then a lot of wild fermented beers. So I sort of went wild fermented, tried a couple grape ones. There was one black IPA and one black NEPA. That was it. And then I went, just kept having the wild fermented stuff.
Nice.
That's where I'd be. Mm.
Yeah,
When-
and then Joel likes IPAs, and and he likes the, like, as he put it, the more it tastes like tar, the better the dark beer is. So really like heavy in the taste, burnt sort of.
yeah.
Yeah. And so between the 4 of us, we kind of like covered most of it, or most of the spectrum. And so, I mean, you're getting, oh, I should have brought the glass, but you get a little, almost like a 2/3 of a champagne flute, like just a nice thin tasting glass.
Right.
And for your tokens. But we just, after the first like couple hours, we ended up just all, because it was the first time I met Martin, and there's always a bit of a warm up in these things when you don't go like all the time like us. So, but by halfway through the first day, we were just like, "What'd you get? What's that one? What am I drinking? Let's all talk about it." And so, like, the 2 days really went by. It felt like a vacation in a way that I hadn't in a long time. I didn't think about work. It didn't pass by like a flash. And I think it was just because, like, very grounded in the moment, because it was pleasant, and then I was constantly using my senses, and we are trying things and talking about them, and kind of talking about life and stuff, but mostly just. It's a bit like when you play board games with people who like board games.
Mm-hmm.
You just play the games and you don't actually catch up. It's one of the things I realized
Yeah.
when I would go to back to Canada, and my friend Adam and Tammy would have us all over board games, and I'd spend like 3 hours there and leave. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on in the life. This was like, it's not a good way to catch up, right?
I need friends like that. My friends just trauma bond.
Yeah.
Saying,
Well,
oh, what ailments do you have today?
right, which we would do if we didn't have a game to like focus on, right? And it was exactly the same thing, where it was just like focusing on the beer, talking about the beer, talking about beer related, like obviously exchanging stories and whatever, but just kind of being in the beer fest in a strong way. It was really nice.
Nice. Good.
Oh,
Good.
that sounds excellent.
It does.
Quick question.
Yeah.
When you say about grapey beers,
Mm.
is that beers that they're trying to go for a grape flavor, or is it beers where they've actually put grapes?
There was a
in them?
grape IPA which had grape added, and it was it was very interesting. I wish I had my booklet. I don't know. I think what happened was when I got home, I emptied the bag because it was soaked.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea where I put the one other wet thing, or that was paper, right? So I know I put the book on the table, but I'll find it probably tomorrow morning. But yeah, so luckily, like, the grape IPA was by Ramses, who are in the Netherlands, and it was called Caretta, where the second one is a double T, 7%. And it was interesting, and I would never have it again. That's what I would say.
We say that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, right? But there was, let me see if I can quickly find it. So one of the big breweries that had a couple of really interesting specials. I just always had a line behind it was Insight Cellars / Copenhagen Commons. So Danish brewery. And they had basically it was like 4 o'clock on the Friday. They had an opening of bottles of their Congruity series, and there were 3. So the Premium Cru was a Danish / Dutch lambic aged in Premier Cru Bordeaux barrels.
This place sounds like heaven on earth.
Mm.
They're not the happiest place ever.
Yeah, and then they had the Muscatel 2022. So obviously these were aged right since and it was a Danish Dutch wild ale blended with Belgian lambic aged in Muscatel barrels. And that was the one I was going to go for, but then as I got to the front of the line, and I asked, just like, you've got these, and he's like, yeah, it's the Queve, which is the Danish Dutch wild ale blended with the Belgian lambic aged in Bordeaux Muscatel barrels. It's they blended the other 2 into the Queve, and he's like, you should have that one. It's going to run out. I'm like, have you seen the line behind me? If I loop back, I would have to slam it. I'm never getting another one of these. But yeah, I had the Queve, and it was fantastic. Oh my god, what did not taste like a beer I'd ever had before, and then some. Could taste the wine notes without it being vinous-y, just like actual grapey notes.
Nice. Yeah.
And I think because it's a lambic, it helped a lot, right? The tartness. But still tasted like a beer in a way that I think, Lucy, you would have loved this beer in a way that I think you would have.
God. I love lambics.
Yeah. Man.
Wild firm like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have left. They'd have to drag me out. Just tell me the dates for next year.
It's like the second last weekend of September, I think.
Okay, I'm ready.
But yeah,
booked my flight already. Yeah.
I will have to say that it was also a nice experience taking the ferry from Newcastle, which is obviously easier for me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
so that's the pilgrimage they do.
Hop for you.
Yeah, 20 minutes, then a half hour, then like 40 minutes to get to the ferry terminal, depending on timing.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought of that. Yes, I was thinking you took the ferry from like
Portsmouth,
Dover. Yeah.
Oh no, not that ferry. No. Yeah. But it was nice.
Came all the way down, went all the way back up.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. That makes so much more sense.
Yeah,
because I was like, why didn't he just fly? Yeah, that makes more sense there.
Yeah, and we stayed in Leiden because it was cheaper. It's only 2 stops from the small town they're in. And Joel's it was one of the two guys I've been playing Magic cards in paper with every week this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so Joel's and like Sarah's joined us a couple times. And Joel's like, you know what's great on the ferry? Plenty of time to kill. So actually, half my bag was full of the decks and their various paraphernalia to play. Which I've had no qualms about tromping around with. And we played a game of Commander that lasted like 4 hours or something real stupid. And it was like, we have to go to bed. But yeah, it was a really fun trip. I'm very glad that they've already said, we go every year. You're welcome to come anytime you want, because I think I'd like to continue that tradition. It was just, like I said, a really great weekend, and because I didn't end up taking my week off because of house stuff outside of Durham, and I've just not really had a proper vacation this year, outside of that family wedding that I kind of rushed through during the Easter break. It was just really nice, and I liked it's only 4 days. And then
I was happy for you seeing your pictures on Instagram. I was like, he's having a fantastic time.
I can't remember last time I was actually posting on Instagram, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's right before the push to get everything ready for the new term, right? Which is next week. No, induction week's next week.
It's a good
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
It's a good way to sort of ease
Yeah.
yourself back into kind of that
Yeah, just like a
timetable
really
and-
solid,
yeah.
simple weekend where like you're not at a place where you're rushing around trying to see the sights, etc.
Mm.
You just have to get there, drink beer, talk about beer. If you want, talk about other things, and then go home.
Yeah.
Nice.
And like I said, we stopped at the Open Brewery, which I would recommend to everyone. It was great. I bought a shirt. I bought some beers.
Nice.
I'm probably gonna have a Yopen for the next couple weeks, depending on if I can stop myself from opening them beforehand.
Hey. So there'll be a new Netherlands-based brewery T-shirt coming
Yes.
onto the podcast in the few weeks.
Which of course,
Nice.
which of course I wore my old one, and Martin was like, "Wow." And it was funny because he's like, "Wow, is that Joel's?" And it turns out Joel bought one basically the same time, and he wears it every year, almost years, but didn't bring it this year, and it's just as beat up as mine. Because of course Joel and Sarah were in Amsterdam. My first year there,
Right.
they had just finished their PhDs, and so that's how I vaguely knew them from like ILC events, but like didn't really know them very well until I moved here. Anyway,
Nice.
yeah, I will say just quickly because I know I've said a bunch.
No, carry on.
Alvina, the Belgian brewery that are Flemish sour ales, they do great stuff. And again, that's where they had a wild grisette called the Molen Harvest 2023, and it was so good. They also had a really good saison, but yeah, especially you, Lucy, I think you'd really like them. The one black IPA was from Granda. It was a quintessential IPA. Oh, Borenerf. Borenerf, yeah, Boerenerf, another Belgian one. They did lambics and creeks. And a creek blended with a cider. And I had the Mosaic, which was a 7.7 creek lambic with muscat wine, and it was very tart. Finished a little more like the sours, which don't quite taste like beer, but really refreshing. And the other one I wanted, so I said Insight, right?
I think it
Narca
would be
from Sweden.
Dangerous if I go next year.
Yeah.
I may die.
So Narca
May
from
not
Sweden,
think-
I would recommend almost anything they do.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the name of that?
Narca,
Is it
N-A with an umlaut, RKE.
Okay.
Even they had a Bock lager, which was great. A farmhouse ale, which was good. Their imperial porter and their barley wine was also good. And then there was one more or was it? Ox from Spain. We had a handful of those, all very tremendous. And then of course but probably surprising no one, my favorite beer of the fest was a dark beer from De Molen. And it was on their Helen Verdominus series, so that's their Imperial Stout. They make it regularly, but then they have limited versions adding flavors. And it was the Helen Verdominus with mezcal and chipotle peppers. 10%, and those smoky peppers just brought out all of that Imperial Stout from a keg. Oh. It was literally the last beer I had, and I was like, yep, I was correct.
So whilst I was having my orange IPA with chili that I didn't like last week, Aadil was dining on probably the nicest beer that's got chili in it. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I think it was also the theme was Back in the Future, which some of them interpreted as Back to the Future. So I was walking by one of the booths or whatever to call it, and the Back to the Future theme started playing, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Oh yeah.
But all of those Back to
heaven
the
on
Futures, were very different and very nice. I wish I had time to try them all, just because I knew they were made specifically for the thing. But I didn't really get a theme from the ones I did try.
The power of love is the theme.
Yeah.
Mm.
You
Power
step
of
in, you're
love
like,
and beer.
I can't get away from work. I bring my papers with me. I just come to a beer festival. But it's good.
Yeah, it was great.
Good.
And now I feel like I wasted today and need to finish planning courses.
Fair.
Instead, I'm drinking beer.
That's, it's the evening. Why not? I interestingly did have a beer from Lervig a couple of days ago, which is just called Sauvignon Blanc and is a collab with a winery where they have mixed 80% blonde beer with a Sauvignon Blanc wine, or it's I think it's Sauvignon Blanche. It's sort of called. So that was very nice. Kim enjoyed it as well because the wine came through.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever had anything that is like a mix before. I could see how it would go much better with lambics and things like that to sort of mix in rather than like a lighter beer kind of thing. But yeah, nice that's kind of you go over there and you get this kind of breadth of styles that we just don't get here as well.
No. Yeah. I'm planning it. It's in the diary for next year.
Good. We'll start saving now. Good.
Yeah, I mean it can't be that expensive going to.
Well, the first,
Yeah,
Trying to think. End of September.
Yeah,
Be cheaper. All the kids.
Are
pissed
back.
off and gone back
Yeah,
to school,
absolutely. I think it'd be one where possibly for you and I, Lucy, from our location, it'd be easier to fly. I would think.
Yeah.
Because
Definitely.
the travel to to Newcastle in
KLM
and itself is probably longer than the flight would be.
Yeah. Oh, it's like it's a 50-minute flight, and with the time zone difference, when you come back, you gain 10 minutes. It's great. But yeah, because Bristol to Schiphol is nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's a KLM hub, and so there's daily flights, 3 or 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
Birmingham, I'm sure, is similar, but
Yeah.
there's also an
just
EasyJet,
after,
I think, to Amsterdam as well. If you really wanted to.
Slum it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Let's
Ryanair.
let's touch on some video games for this week, just to sound out the last sort of half of the episode. I just wanted to touch on the PlayStation State of Play. I haven't played anything this week. Actually, that's not true. I have played something. I played through and finished the first Uncharted game. It's like
expecting that.
4 hours long. It's done. To be fair, Kim went out to a beer. To a beer fest. She didn't go to a beer festival. She went to a pub quiz. That's where she went to. She went to a pub quiz the other night. So I basically just had like 3.5 hours just to blitz through it. But following Astrobot, I kind of the swell of the Uncharted music and the level, kind of how heavily it leans into that sort of nostalgia. I'm like, actually, really like Uncharted as a franchise. I've only ever played the first game. The theme tune is, I think I played the first game like several times, 2 or 3 run-throughs of it, but only like when it released. Right, I think I probably played it through on like a normal setting and then went and did it again on like harder difficulty. And I'd never gone back to it. And the second game is one of my favourite games. So I'm like, let's go back and play this. I've got the whatever the collection is, the Nathan Drake collection, through PS Plus. So
did they remaster it or something?
They
or is it
did. So they've remastered 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
I don't know how much of a remaster they are. I think it's just it's a remaster. It's that up-resed type version of something.
They didn't change any of the controls or anything.
No, I don't believe so. It's a little bit tanky, a little bit clunky to play in places. But yes, I did think I'm going to start Uncharted 2 probably after the weekend, sometime next week maybe, and play them through. I also downloaded the other collection, which isn't a remaster. It just bundles 4 and Lost Legacy together. as well. But 4 is like 30 hours long or something silly. It's probably longer than all of the other games put together.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know
That
if
needed
I'll
an
get.
editor.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll get back to that. But I think I'm going to play through 1 to 3 over the next sort of few weeks. But yeah, that's kind of small update. But the thing I wanted to talk about is just how fucking good Ghost of Yotei looks, which is the Ghost of Tsushima sequel, and how it starts off, and I instantly thought, because I'd not played Rise of the Ronin, I thought, oh, this must be like, it must be DLC or something for that game. That was a PS4, a PS5 console exclusive. It's probably DLC for that. But as the trailer works through, and then the vibrancy that Ghost of Tsushima had kind of pops in on the shots and the way that they set things, and actually the way that they sort of Kurosawa a little bit of the kind of intro to it. It's a little bit sort of black and white and things like this, and how it moves through. I'm like, it's a Ghost of Tsushima sequel. It looks fucking beautiful. And as I'm watching this trailer, about a minute and a half, 2 minutes maybe, I'm like, I hope it's not called Ghost of Tsushima 2, whatever subtitle.
No, it'd be Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, very good. Oh no, it should have been called that, to be fair. But as soon as it popped up saying Ghost of Yotei, I'm like, yes, this is where this franchise goes, right? They can keep making these samurai games and just take it to that slightly different point in time, that slightly different area of Japan. They could take it to the Japanese invasion of China. They could do loads of stuff with that sort of setting and that time frame-ish kind of. I think Yotei is set something like 250, 300 years after Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay.
So they'll be introducing like muskets and pistols and those kinds of things, I would think. So it might take it in a slightly different direction.
No, that'll be the third one, right?
That will be the third one, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Just Gatling guns everywhere, just to fucking take people down. But yeah, I was really, I really liked Ghost of Tsushima, and I think it's a sequel has probably been, obviously been in development for several years. It wouldn't be surprising if they hadn't started that almost instantly after Ghost of Tsushima released.
When did the first one come out?
Oh, I don't know. 2019.
Oh.
So maybe 5 years.
Oh wow, that's 5 years.
Maybe 2020. I type
2020.
Yeah. So 4 years.
Oh,
So this will be
wow.
out. This will be out next year, I think. So that will be 5
okay.
years since the first game. I think the what was it called? Icky Island. I can't remember what the DLC title was. But where you're still playing as the same character, but you go to a slightly different island for the DLC, and that came out maybe like 18 months or something after the first game. So actually, it's only like a 3-year period between a release. And what I kind of would like, and what I find a bit more interesting about something like Sucker Punch and Ghost of Tsushima is, and it's spread throughout kind of PlayStation, that they produced obviously that DLC. I don't know whether it was standalone or whether you had to have the base game to be able to play it. I think you had to have the base game, but they kind of led very early on with that kind of standalone short experience that's not DLC, because they did the infamous First Light, which was not DLC but was like another story element of was it Infamous?
Which was better than the main
3
game.
or Infamous 4? I can't remember what the number of that one was, but yes, it was better than the main game. Absolutely, Fetch was a much better character with the neon powers. Obviously, they Insomniac then did Miles Morales, which was Spider-Man the Engine, just with a Miles Morales skin and a different story. Again, a standalone experience. I can see, we get Ghost of Yotei, sorry, that's a bigger experience. That's a much bigger experience. It's the same sort of scale and size of Ghost of Tsushima, but then they can kind of pick and choose these smaller little experiences kind of as standalone elements. Something that's maybe only 20 quid and it's 8 hours long as an experience, rather than the sort of premium 30 to 40 hour collectible marathon type game that these kind of open world things are. So it's interesting to see how they've named it and how that might set kind of the standard for sort of what's kind of coming almost, rather than just Ghost of Tsushima 2, Yin's pissed or something.
I'm curious as to how they actually innovate on the sequel, because I think that's been a bit of a bugbear for PlayStation first-party games recently, where the sequels like Horizon and God of War, where they kind of have the same issues as the first game.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully, if Ghost of Yotei, they'll have actually seen whatever the criticisms were of the first game and actually tackle that, instead of just spending 5 years and making the same game over again. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, that's just something to highlight from this week, which was good. I know there's been another couple of showcases, because this was kind of tied in with Tokyo Game Show. I think Xbox did one yesterday, which I haven't watched or caught up on, so I haven't seen kind of anything that's come out of that. There were some other small, interesting games from the state of play. Midnight Walk looks cool. It's like a claymation, horror type Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas type.
Yeah, that looks wicked.
Thing.
I saw that on an article or something on PC Gamer.
Right.
Because it's coming to PC as well.
I think it's probably coming to Xbox as well, I would think, but I don't know.
That's on my wish list, because that looks awesome.
But it's that game is actually coming out on PSVR as well.
Oh, really?
So yeah, interesting that the PSVR is still getting support. Still getting a few games coming out. For now. But that actually you don't have to have that. There isn't the experience of just playing it on console and PC.
Seems like a good fit for VR though, to be fair.
Yeah, so good stuff. Lucy, I know you finished a game which has taken you years.
Yeah, like 30 years. I finished Beyond Shadowgate, which spoke about last week. Aadil, it's the sequel to Shadowgate. That was kickstarted a good, probably like 35 years since. Yeah, it's good. It's did everything that I wanted it to do. Just be a Shadowgate game with the same kind of types of point and click puzzles and same gruesome, grisly deaths and fun writing and whimsical tales and puzzles and stuff like that, but just with modern trappings and modern quality of life things built into it. The one thing that I would say is a negative, probably the only negative that I have, is the fact that you can't do like multiple saves. Which most games these days, like games that allows you to save scum, or games that are just like, I want to try this. Like a lot of point and click games now, they allow multiple save slots. This one doesn't, which is weird. And because I missed out on the good ending, it's like I couldn't go back and
replaying
redo. So I would say that's annoying, but I was like, this game's really good. I think just like the original Shadowgate, I'm probably gonna replay this at some point, like maybe when I've in a few months or maybe even years, when I've forgotten all the puzzles and just want to feel cozy again. Because the coolest thing that this game does is that you actually go back to original Castle Shadowgate, which is like a really cool way of just doing a lot of fan service for people who love the first game and remember the first game, because the castle in its state in this game is basically how it was after you'd completed the original Shadowgate. So it's like, okay, this dragon is already slain. This chest is open. These doors are open. These traps have already been set and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, it's like going back. It's like going back home. And it was and there was a specific puzzle where it was like, oh, you have to remember 35 years ago where things were in the original game. Because basically you have to be like, there's this thing where you like basically recite this like magical spell, and you have to collect like 12 times in these specific locations where the items in the first game were, and it gives you clues in the Beyond Shadowgate as to where they were. But because I've played Shadowgate several times, and probably within the last couple of years, I was like, I know where that is. I don't even need the hint, because it's like I remember where that was in the original game.
That's amazing.
So, yeah. So it's like that was really good, like, calling back fan service, and it was just, yeah, it's great. I'm just so glad this game was made. I looked at, because it was a Kickstarter game which I backed, and there was a lot of people who in the credits who backed this game. So it's like, we want our Shadowgate. Okay, maybe you're not going to walk up to a publisher like, I don't know, EA or something, or Activision, and say, fund our Shadowgate game, but there's obviously somewhat of an appetite for it. And yeah, it's just very cozy, and I very much enjoyed it. Some of the puzzles got a bit obscure and in the end, to get some of those other endings, and it was like, I'm just gonna look at the guide, and that's fine.
Fair.
Because the first ending I got was the bad ending, and I was like, oops. But then I managed to figure out a neutral ending. But to get the good ending, I'd probably have to restart the game again.
Right.
That sucks.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Think you know what, where those kind of decision points kind of were in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. I know exactly where it is, but it's like halfway through the game. So it's like a long time back. It's not like you're gonna re-roll that save. And from halfway through the game, most people would have saved after that. So yeah, that's a bit weird, but I'm happy to replay it again at some point, because it was nice seeing all the little callbacks and all the Easter eggs, and yeah, it culminating in you actually not having to remember, but being rewarded if you do remember the original game, with that going through the original castle Shadowgate again and doing those puzzles. But yeah, it's up there for me this year.
Nice.
Just glad it all came together and good. How often do we hear about that on Kickstarter games? Not that often. There are sometimes, but and I think it's a bit better now. I think people, developers going to Kickstarter, they know that they have to fulfill a lot of the promises. Like, what was that? Bloodstained. That was another Kickstarter game, wasn't it? That eventually fulfilled everything. So it's like, yeah, I think Kickstarter and devs using that platform has gotten way better in the last 5-6 years or so. It was a bit dicey in the beginning, but yeah, this is everything that I wanted it to be, and I'm glad I'm a backer.
Nice.
My name is in the credits.
Nice.
Good.
So for people playing Beyond Shadowgate in another 35 years, when I'm dead and gone, probably will be able to see that.
Beyond Shadowgate.
Yeah, I've been here 35 years. I don't know if I got another 35 in me.
At least if you do, you'll be so high on pain medication and stuff, you won't remember that far back. So it will all be a new experience for you.
Oh, excellent. I'll hang on just for that.
Yeah. Good. Nice. Wicked. Let's finish there this week. Does anyone have any final thoughts on their beers? Anyone want to return to anything?
No, it got better. As I said, after I swallowed around the can, and still got a bit left. It's a nice beer for conversations.
Good. Perfect.
I wish there was a little less sediment because I feel like I can't really drink that much more. It's like a lot. Right?
Yeah,
That's a lot.
that's solid.
Yeah, I mean, part of it, I guess, is my fault for not watching the last bit of the pour. But yeah, other than that, it's good. It does exactly what it says. I think it has a nice enough, that maltiness that was a bit almost an affront when I first had it. It kept it tasting beery enough as the botanicals and slow like just sort of came out in the subsequent sips. And the finish just has that tartness, but with a bit of that maltiness still there, which is good. Because like I said, it tastes. It means it feels like it tastes like beer, not like some sort of alcoholic drink. Solid. Exactly what you want on a day that we haven't seen here in England in weeks.
Fair.
Oh, merry old England.
Yes.
We love it. I saw snow warnings there.
Yeah, I did as well. Yeah, it's lots of flood warnings and stuff down our way as well, unfortunately. But I mean, my beer fits very well as well. Kind of, we're getting into that kind of Oktober fest, those harvest beer kind of weeks and months. So the last couple of beers I've had have sat very well for these slightly wetter weeks. They are lagers. They are a little bit lighter, but they're deeper than sort of your standard lagers, your standard pils and things like that. So
I'm planning to go pick up some German beers this weekend.
Nice, good. So that's the beers and the games and the beer festivals from us this week. If you want to get in touch, let us know about your beer festival experiences, beers that you've been drinking or games that you've been playing. We're at Tanked Up Cast on the socials. You can go to outoflives.net as well and chat to us in the podcast post on the website. We're also on YouTube, where you can come and chat to us as well if you want to, or drop us a link or drop us a message and we'll send you a link to our Discord channel as well to come and hang out. I'm Matt Nova _47. Lucy is
Juicy Loose 9 on YouTube.
Yes. We mentioned this last week.
Yeah, I record my crosswords Aadil and upload them, and some sickos actually watch them.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How do you like have your phone on a stand?
No, I just record the screen. I do it on the online. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
When I do when I actually print it out and do it on paper, I tell my viewers, that there was no crossword that day, and I feel a bit guilty because I'm letting two people down sometimes.
What you have to remember is there's plenty of internet on the internet, so they'll be okay.
Are you sure though? Are you sure?
I'm very sure.
They're able to get through the day without watching me do a crossword.
I mean, yeah, because you've seen them next day. They've made it through.
Yeah, well, that's good. I feel better now.
Good, but when you get your setup ready for your paper crosswords as well, it's just another level of content to bring to the people.
That'd be interesting. I'll just take a tripod with me in my backpack on my bike ride and everything. Just be like,
what are you doing?
Stick your phone to your head. So you can just, as you're looking at it.
Oh my god. I think I have too much humility and shame to do.
You just gotta buy a pair of those Meta Ray-Ban glasses.
The glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And then you just do the crossword.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then you forget that it's on and you go to the bathroom.
That would be, and live streaming it. Like several streams, yeah.
Hey.
Brilliant. And Aadil is
at the Omniarch.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this week. We'll be back very, very soon. We've been tanked up. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.
Bye.
Ciao.
What's bye in Dutch? I tried to say that last week, but I don't know what it is.
I like see ya.
Okay.
It's
That.
quite easy.
Yeah. I like that.
Unexpected.
Yeah.
I best brush up for next year.
www.outoflives.net